Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Grand Rapids Town Board, April 14th, 2015, 6 p.m. Town Hall. First item on the agenda would be the Pledge of Allegiance. Chief Peterson, would you lead us tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Any corrections, changes, errors? Hearing none. Item 3, approve minutes of May 10th. March 10th. Thank you, Kathy. March 31st, April 2nd, Town Board minutes, meetings.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion Kathy, second Patty. Any discussion?
There's one.
One correction or any?
Yes, on the March 10th minutes, line 19, agenda item number 19, to hold the choose to reuse. CHOOSE.
Okay, noted. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I have an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. By the way, Supervisor Paulson is out of town this evening. He won't be with us. Item 4 is the public comment period. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each, with the public comment period limited to 30 minutes. Anybody wish to speak to the board this evening? Go ahead, Mr. Ron Heck.
Thank you, Ron Hatt. For what it's worth, I heard on the radio this WFHR this morning that Representative Krug is going to be at the McMillan Memorial Library. I believe it's from 9:30 to 11:30 on
Thursday?
Thursday, so
Yep.
you know that.
I'm going to be there.
And in trying to discover where, or firm up at least what I thought I heard on the radio, I got into his website, and I guess I was pleased with what I saw on there, in that, on that right to work legislation. He explained his vote on there, why he voted the way he did. And, I know there's a lot of people that are for it and a lot of people against it, but I give him the credit for at least letting us know how he voted the way he did, so.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak to the board or the public? Hearing none, we'll call the regular part of the meeting into place here now. So the item number 5 is going to review reports from departments. First on the list is the Fire Department Chief Don Bone.
Evening, Grand Rapids Board, citizens. For the last month, we are still staffed with 53 firefighters. We have 7 people that are strictly EMS. For the month, we had 26 calls for service. 13 of those were EMS calls. We had 2 motor vehicle accidents, 1 mutual aid standby for the city of Wisconsin Rapids. They were out on a structure fire. We did have 2 CO calls. Even though it's getting later in the year, we're still getting those CO calls with the heater vents and things like that being plugged. We did have 2 false alarm calls, 4 wildland fire calls so far this year, predominantly in Portage County or the Saratoga area for us, luckily. We did have 1 structure fire out in the town of Saratoga about 2 weeks ago. Started out as a chimney fire in the middle of the night and progressed. We did have all 4 fire departments out there on the automatic aid system with the town of Saratoga, and did manage to get the fire contained rather quickly. So, and then yesterday we had a mutual aid call with the Wisconsin Rapids Fire Department. I'm sure you saw that a little bit on TV and stuff. They had a fairly substantial, started out as a grass fire over off Bono Avenue. Several sheds, a lot of equipment and stuff out there went up. I think there was 4 or 5 departments out there. Six. Pretty significant fire. It's a little different starting, you think you're fighting a grass fire and it turns into multiple vehicles. If you look at the smoke columns that were coming up, they were pitch black. There's a lot of chemicals and stuff that were stored on that property that nobody knows what they even were. A lot of explosions going off and stuff like that, so give the crew credit that was over there. Assistant Chief Pyatt had the crew over there so we could keep a crew back here in case something else popped, but we had probably 12 people over at the scene over there, and went good. Nobody was injured other than a civilian, I believe, that was snooping around where he probably wasn't supposed to be. So other than that, fire calls, obviously it's dry this spring. Tomorrow they're looking at potentially going to a red flag condition. Winds are supposed to be gusting over 20 miles an hour. Very, very high fire danger starting out, they say tomorrow morning and increasing throughout the afternoon. So fire burning is banned. They haven't banned campfires yet, but that's getting awful close too. So, but any debris burning, stuff like that, make sure you're not doing it. The DNR's no sense of humor this time of year. So like the sign out front says, the majority of the wildland fires do occur in the spring in Wisconsin. So till everything gets greened up. So training, we're going to be doing our emergency vehicle operation training, just a refresher on the legalities and the do's and don'ts of driving a big fire truck through traffic. And we have a lot of newer people on the department and stuff, and a lot of older people that need a real brush up. So we'll be doing that Saturday and next Monday for both the EMS people and the fire people. So hopefully we never have to be one of those pictures on the front page with an accident involving one of our vehicles. So. And that's about the extent for our training.
Any questions on the fire side? If not, you can continue on the safety report. Anything happening?
No.
Hey.
No, things are looking good. Nobody's got injured. And we try to keep it that way. I guess one other thing I did forget back on my public relations.
Okay.
We're going to be at the Children's Fest at Lincoln High School April 25th again. We'll have the fire safety trailer there. And I don't know how many hundreds of kids we run through that in the course of the day.
About 300.
Yeah, so it's a good event. We'll have,
And we'll be starting with both safety classes at the sheriff's department.
yeah, we'll be teaching some border safety, fire extinguisher actions at with the.
You also want to touch on the, maybe touch on the change in the fire celebration?
Yeah, I guess that is sneaking up quick on us. We
Yeah.
made it through the Easter egg hunt, so the picnic's right around the corner. We are switching our picnic this year to Saturday. The Sunday that it normally was on, and the Cranberry Blossom Festival is on Father's Day. So we didn't really want to have the picnic on Father's Day afternoon, so we switched it to the following weekend instead of doing in conjunction with all the events downtown. So will be Saturday, June 27th. Will be our picnic at the Lions Club, lawnmower races, and the same events going on other than we are actually going to drop the pancake breakfast in the morning. Just at 6 hours ahead of time, made for a long day for the guys who were there at 6 in the morning. So hopefully people will get the word out. We'll be doing a lot of advertising on radio and stuff to get the word out that we're going to switch weekends and go to a Saturday.
Okay, any questions for him?
What day did you say it was?
June 27th.
7th, thank you.
If not, thank you very much. Police report from Chief Melvin Peterson.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of March, the Grand Rapids Police Department handled 387 calls for service. That compares to 387 calls for service last year in the month of March. Down board, you have a detailed breakdown of the calls. For the first 3 months of 2015, the department handled 1,027 calls for service. This compares to 1,084 calls for the same period in 2014. It's about a 5% decrease in calls. We issued 30 written warnings, 6 municipal ordinance citations, and 42 traffic citations for the month of March. We started our process to fill the 2 part-time police officer positions. The Police and Fire Commission conducted first round of interviews on March 19th. from a list of applicants that we received going through WisCops. This is our first process using WisCops, and it worked out real well. One applicant was selected from this first round, and she began her FTO training on April 3rd. Her name is Dia Damchuk, and I'd like to welcome her to the part-time officer ranks of the Grand Rapids Police Department. She'll be a great asset for us. The second candidate will be selected after Officer Damchuk is starting to finish up her FTO program. Once we get her near completion, then we'll bring on the second part-timer. On March 5th, Officer Kubishik attended rural sex trafficking training at the Menominee Judicial Center in Menominee, Wisconsin. It was an 8-hour training offered by the Wisconsin DOJ and included topics, overview of sex trafficking, legal issues, identifying the victims and the traffickers, conducted rural sex trafficking investigations and service provided by DOJ's Wisconsin Statewide Information Center and Wisconsin's Clearinghouse. Officer Kubishki said it was excellent training and it'll serve us well here. March 11th, Joel Neineman attended the Titan Public Safety Solution, that's the TIPS training. Their 16th annual user group meeting in Madison. It was an 8-hour training, and that TIPS program is basically what we use for our municipal court, and it included news, information, enhancements, updates to the system, and initiatives all relating to the municipal court system that we use here for the town. March 19th, Grand Rapids Police Department in coordination with the Wood County Sheriff's Office and the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department participated in a Code Red drill over here at River Cities High School. This drill was conducted as part of the Wisconsin Rapids Public School System, ongoing efforts to train and practice procedures during crisis situations at schools. It got several compliments from the River City staff over there when we showed up with us, Wood County, Rapids. And I don't think they were anticipating that. They were just anticipating Grand Rapids, and I explained to them, in a crisis situation, this is who's showing up. And so they were very impressed with that, and thanks us for putting it all together and helping them, and some issues that we pointed out that I think they never even thought of or considered, so they were very appreciative of that. Vehicles are doing great outside the normal maintenance, and once again, I invite anybody, if you ever have any questions or just want to come in and talk, my door's always open. Thanks.
Any questions of the chief? Any concerns? If not, thank you very much. Item 7, purchase of software system to document.
Don't say six.
I skipped right over you, John.
I'll go home.
Yeah, apologize for that. Discuss the new Infotech offering for managed network system and monitoring. We have John Gethers here to give us a little help in understanding it. What do you got?
Sure. Well, this is something that we just started offering to the cities. We had to have it certified for CJIS applications. CJIS is the Criminal Justice Information Systems. So we couldn't really put it into a municipal setting until we knew that the police department could benefit from it. I contacted Judy a month ago and just told her that we're offering kind of a network managed, like a proactive management system, but it's more so for our monitoring. It costs us money, so it would cost you money. So in the beginning, I just wanted to put our 24/7 knock on the main server here, $65 a month. And you guys are on a very decent price structure. But normally we normally charge $135 an hour. So at that rate, I believe where you're at, it's just under an hour of what your normal rate would be. So with that, you're gonna get anti-malware, and antivirus, which we need to talk about repurchasing anyway, because your 3 years is gonna be up. But what it does is it actually will email us, and we have 24/7 coverage of everything. They call us in the middle of the night if something goes down. So I'd like to put that on the main server, and sometime in the future, I'd like to do that to the police department server. Right now, we have tracks and other things on the main server, so I'm not too worried about it. But once we get tracks moved over, I would like to get that secondary server loaded as well. And then in the police department, I was just speaking to Mel about this. We'd like to monitor those laptops out in the squad cars because they're not hooked to the domain. We don't have access to them, but those are the ones that go down the most. Those are $15 a month. So it's just a more proactive way to attack the network, so people don't attack you, essentially.
So you would get notification of any server irregularities to anything that...
I can show you my phone. In the morning, I wake up, I have like 75 emails, and we go through those every morning. We get phone calls in the middle of the night if something goes down.
If it's
So
crisis.
if the server went down here or the internet went down, instead of waiting for Justice to call or come to my home, we actually get a call and say, hey, this is not working, you need to go fix it. So, and then we would be aware of things happening before they do, like when the server crashed a couple of years ago, when it rebooted and we had to rebuild the whole network. So that cost you about $3,000 at the time. So we're trying to take a more proactive management stance in the municipal network. So it's really hard to explain to you without showing you. We would have a web portal that we use, as well as Judy, which she would see, and it would tell you everything that's going on in the network. If there's updates that needed to be added, either she or we just go in, we check them, we hit push it out at 3 o'clock in the morning next Saturday, and it happens. So it's a more proactive stance. A big thing with that offering is security. Anti-malware, antivirus, big for the police department. So we've had 3 police departments in the last year get hit with CryptoWall. And if we didn't have backups and other secure things set up, they would have lost all their data. So that's why we started looking into this and taking that stance.
Questions, Bill?
The decision on the laptops for the squad cars, that's $15 per month per computer?
Per laptop, yeah.
Per laptop?
Yep.
And you said that's yet to come, that's not in the $3,000. That's not what we're approving tonight.
$3,000, Bill, $3,000 isn't the number I'm giving you. The $3,000 was the number that you didn't expect in your budget last year when that crashed.
Okay.
So,
And that was just for his work, and the office staff had a ton more because we did lose a lot of templates and all that stuff was all gone. So
I don't know, but was that the template year? That was a long
Or was
time.
that-
No, that was 2008.
Yeah, that's a problem.
you remember that well, huh?
Yes.
All right.
So no, we were fine with that one. It was more of an Active Directory issue,
Okay.
which means that they couldn't log in.
Sure.
And what you were doing was paying your employees to sit there, not being able to do anything.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Kathy?
You had mentioned about wanting to get it on the other server. Is the price you're quoting of the 65 is per server? So right
server.
now, it's just our main server that we're considering, and when the second
Yep.
server gets added, there will be a cost to that.
Right. We put the server in. We just don't have the tracks moved over, so that's not live yet.
Okay.
But once tracks comes online on that system, I think it's very important that we do that. We've had a lot of issues with tracks, not because of the network, just because of things that, tracks is kind of wonky. So it doesn't really work as well as they say it works. So we spent a lot of time trying to get that, working the way it needs to work. So we'll call them and then they don't call us back for 3 days or something like that. So, and it actually took Mel sending a very stern email to them to actually have them contact us back. But that's mandated by the state of Wisconsin. That's something that you have to use. So once that gets moved over, I would really like to get that second server, hooked up.
Yes, one more. And then, so as you describe it, this is to give us some antiviral type protection, but if something goes wrong, is there that call that you have to then make to us? Is that part of this 65 that we're paying, or is the
If we don't
65 to
get-
just notify you that something went
That's a
wrong?
good question. If we don't touch it, it's included, okay? It's included in the $65. If they can remediate it at night, it's something that you don't pay for,
Okay,
okay? The police department is very touchy with that though. We use the monitoring on the police department side just to give us, feed us that information that we need to provide, the level of service that you need. They cannot log into those servers. It has to be us.
Right.
That is billable.
okay.
On the municipal side, okay, let's say Chris is in here 2 a.m. I don't know if that ever happens.
That'll never happen.
So 2 a.m. in the morning, something breaks, she can't access her tax software. We actually have a 1-800 number that she can call that gets picked up, and they remote in to Chris's stuff and try to fix it. Now, if it's something with a Wi-Fi, they can also assist us on that too. This way you're not waking me up at 2:30 in the morning.
Okay,
So there's a lot of benefits to it. But the remediation on the police department side is not one of them.
okay.
It's more or less, keeping us up to date on those squad vehicles. Keeping the antivirus up to date. Shows us, hey, these laptops are up to date. We actually get a report when we log into the portal that says, Squad 1 needs updates, Squad 1 antivirus needs updates. Squad 1, we've seen 300 infections on anti-malware. And then we can fix that before it causes issues.
Okay.
So when those laptops are down, you lose money. There's no citation writing, unless you flip the book, but it's a headache.
Okay.
All right, other question, Patty?
I do. Is one of the notifications that you receive, is that like an active hacker?
I don't know if I would say that's an active hacker. We have, we
But
have
I mean, is it
firewalls
that-
in place. That would be like an IPS IDS implementation.
Okay.
And the way we would see that, it wouldn't come up and say, hey, you have a hacker in your system. It would say that, you have security event logs that failed. And then we would see that, and then we would investigate further.
Okay, that's,
So
okay.
when you're talking about the anti-hacking stuff, very expensive.
Okay, I didn't know if that was included but.
Mel?
And then.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And then
Diana.
also, when you said it was $65 per month, that would be a total of $780 additional? Is that?
To the budget?
Per
Yeah.
year, yeah.
And then for the laptops, we're looking at $15 per laptop. And how many laptops do we have?
5.
5. Okay, so,
5 with a spare.
Yeah.
okay, I figured
So essentially,
6. but-
if you look at it that way, it would be under 2 hours of labor a month. So in some of this track stuff, we're here for like 10, 15 hours. We don't always bill you the 10 or 15 hours, but it's 10 or 15 hours. So, I mean, if you're looking at it as, this is how much it's gonna cost us a month, you have to look at it and say, well, it was remediated, by the Network Operations Center, and we just saved ourselves 2 hours of labor.
Thank you.
Mel, did you have any comments, sir?
Not to sell this one way or the other, but just to make you aware, throughout the course of a week, I receive dozens of Intel bulletins that I get through email, and probably a third of them have to do with cyber-related issues, the hackers, this crypto wall, was it Voxing, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, there's much larger departments that have been hit by these bad guys that are intentionally going out there, and specifically they're targeting military and law enforcement. And the size of the department or where the department's located doesn't matter. It all kind of goes back to some of the bad press or bad news going on out there regarding law enforcement around the country, that's these hackers and all these cyber criminals out there that want to jam you up and erase all your data, they'll specifically target these agencies. I mean, we had our own little incident last fall, and that would be a perfect example of some organization or some group going out there and trying to jam us up. So anything we can do to increase our security on not only the municipal server, but on the police department server, because it's not going to get any better. Everything I've read is this type of attacks is the wave of the future. So it's not going to go away. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better. And anything we can do to protect ourselves is well worth the investment.
Bill?
So how is this categorized as for budget purposes? What do-
Computer aid?
Well, it'd go under computer support.
Is it something that you had figured with prior, like the $5,000 or whatever we had in the budget before?
No, this
would be
isn't anything
This
I
is the
talked to her
first
about.
I heard about it about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna come in here and say, hey, I want you to do this without testing it elsewhere. So, or, you know, knowing more about it, because I've actually kind of rejected this type of stance. I don't like having other eyes in things. But we've used it about 9 or 10 different places, and it works very well. One is a hospital actually, and we have to abide by HIPAA compliancy in those places, and CGIS compliancy is much more stringent. So once I had it certified for that, we started putting it in the municipalities.
Kathy?
What are you recommending to us as far as if we do, obviously you're recommending the one server. The other server you said is not ready yet. When are you thinking ready? A month, 2 months, 6 months?
Well, it's gonna be within like a month.
Okay,
You know, I can't give you a day because to do tracks, we actually have to come in and tell them that, we're working with Mel as a deputized, individual.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they will not even talk to us.
and that's okay. I just,
Yep.
within a month is, and then the laptops, are you suggesting or recommending that we consider that immediately with the first server or when the second server gets implemented and added?
Well, Judy was only aware that I was gonna come in and talk about the main server, because
Okay.
that's what I told her. I wanted to try it out, get it going. But after speaking with Mel, I think that those laptops are probably priority number one over even that server.
Okay.
So because we don't have anything on them as far as reporting, they're not hooked to the domain. I can't remote into the server and actually view what's going on with those laptops. It's hey, there's a cop here in our office, something broke, and then they're trying to stand there telling us what's going on, and we have to try to figure it out on the fly, which we're good at, but it takes time out of both, out of like Tammy's day or Dave's day or whatever, and they're not on the road during that time. So
If I could add one more thing, now, I know way too much computer stuff than I ever thought I'd know, but the laptops, if you look at the town of Grand Rapids computer system as a whole, the laptops are probably your weakest link, okay? Because we work off-site with them through AirCard. And then if we pick up something on that, any type of malware or virus or anything like that, and then we gotta come in and connect to the network to do our track stuff, to end shift and transfer all our tickets from the laptop to the main server, that's where, that's the weak link in the system right there. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's,
I would just say that we do have antivirus on those machines.
right.
We don't have any malware on those, because most places don't even consider that. But with these crypto walls and other viruses and malware, these things are horrible, and it pretty much ruins my week. You know, we had a police department last year get hit with one, and they had an archival hard drive that they just plugged in via USB. Well, that stuff's not on backup. It costs, we actually paid for it. It was $1,400 to get it unlocked. So, you know, I don't want to pay $1,400 to get it unlocked. So, I mean, we do have stuff on backup here, and hopefully, you know, nothing's being removed. But I don't want to see those things get hit, because every time it gets hit, it's $150 minimum for us to fix it.
All right, well, if you think about it this way, you know, we've got roughly 5,000 in the computer aid. If this prevents some of the other problems that we've had through the course of the year, this is kind of like a proactive thing, and maybe we won't have the total expense. So I think we ought to consider this and let her go.
That was my train of thought when Bill asked the question about budgets. That I was kind of going through that same thought process that, you know, I would think that one of the benefits from this may be saving in the reactive end versus the proactive. And then this is good timing to have this conversation, because as we work on budgets this summer, we will be better prepared to be looking at where we are at that line item. And then if we anticipate exceeding any line item, we can be prepared to plan accordingly within other line items of the budget. So, Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we authorize or purchase the Infotech as presented for the managed network system service and monitoring for both servers and the laptops.
Okay, the motion been made so that we'd have 65, that's 130 plus 75 is
90, because it would be 6
90,
laptops.
90, okay. So we,
If there's 6, then that's 90.
$75.
Okay.
Because of 5,
is that 220? Is that what it is?
Just the 5.
At a cost of 220 a month, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Motion by Kathy, second by Patty, discussions?
So we're gonna do the 6 laptops at $15.
I think he corrected me, 5. It
Oh,
was
it is 5?
5 laptops,
Okay, and the spare, we're not going to be doing that one?
yeah. If
No
we
need?
Well, see, if we need to put the spare into service, I'll just remove it from the other one and put it on the spare.
So we only have 5 vehicles.
We only have 5 in use at any time.
Anytime.
Right.
Okay, so that's $75, and then $65
Twice,
for one, yeah.
twice 130.
Yeah.
Server.
So
So
it's,
that's 780 times
So-
5.
That
That's
$65 is what
15.60.
actually gives them the help desk at night. If there's even the internet going down, it gets covered. So like if one of the officers comes in and they can't do a report, they can't connect back to the county, they just call that 1-800 number, they get somebody on the line, and they trace it down. If they can't fix it, that's when they call me.
okay. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I have an aye, any opposed? No opposed. Thank you very much for explaining that, John, I think you did well. All right, now we're gonna go to Dale's little area here, discuss purchase of software system to document and record all buildings permits and inspections and zoning permits. We have Dale Bates here, who's our new building inspector. Zoning is done internally by our staff. But Dale indicated to us that he's been using a product from MyGov, as you got some information about. Cost of the package would be just a share, a little bit under $6,000. That'd be the first year, and one-time fees are roughly $23,000, so that, what do we have for reoccurring, Dale? Is it do you know?
I'm afraid I'm no help to you on the
Is it
cost.
Well,
reoccurring?
the installation and setup is the $29.95, and then the $3,000 would be the yearly.
That's a yearly fee for it? Okay.
Yes.
All right, any questions that you'd want to have, Patty or Bill, that maybe Dale might be able to, or you want to give us an over real quick?
Maybe I'd like to give you a little bit of an
Sure.
overview. One of the first things that Peggy and Jewel asked me about is, how do you guys in Rapids keep track of your permits? We're struggling here. And I said, well, I use MyGov, and I pull out my smartphone and show them, well, this is what I got going on for tomorrow. I gotta go here, there, and there. Here's my calendar. This is what I did today. These are the permits that just came in, and it's all right there. You got everything lined up. You can keep track. You can record out in the field. If there's something, if you see a project, you wonder, I don't remember a permit for that. No, there's nothing out there, so you can react right away. I can access it from home. I know it's a lot of money, but it's a very useful tool and something that you should consider. It keeps track of all the steps of the project, make notes in there, what's going on, if you have any concerns, the contractor's phone numbers, contact information, you have it all there, you have it in your hand while you're out driving around doing inspections. I gotta tell you, when I first got there, they showed me this, I said, what am I gonna do with this? This is more than I wanna figure out, but in a few weeks, I knew what was going on and was able to work with it very well. And it's hard to imagine working over there in the city without it right now, and especially with all the roofing going on over there, and we're issuing permits, and we're catching people left and right. I don't know if there's a permit for that, and thinking, no, there's not. Now, go and get a permit, so. I just want to say it's pretty useful. I know it's pricey and you've spent quite a bit in the past on software, and it isn't very user-friendly at all. I'm struggling with what's here. But just so you know.
So you start out blank, how long and how far back do we go? How long does it take to get it up to date for you?
There would be...
And is that an additional cost?
Additional cost as far as entering the information on the properties that are going on. Myself or whoever is taking the permit application can enter it at that time. There would be some setup time that would have to be come up with from somewhere, but someone's going to have to take the time to put in addresses and property owners for all the properties here, because one of the things that you can do with MyGov is you put in the property address, it'll give you the owner's name, phone number, all the contact information. If it's a rental, it becomes apparent at that time. That setup needs to be done, not out of house, but be done in-house in some way, shape, or form.
What we'd like to do with this bill is, if we decide to go ahead with it, is before we would actually do a purchase of it, inquire to them about the ability to read our older files from what we have. I believe it's an Access Microsoft system, to see if they can import it. And being that, it's a Microsoft product, I would almost think they would have a program that they could generate to pull our files, but we'd want to find that out first too, I think. Because otherwise we'd have a fair amount of data entry to do to bring it up to speed. But a lot of times when you get any new programs, you end up doing a lot of data entry, but we'd like not to.
I think, if you said that there was a Microsoft compatible, I'm sure that you could get some kind of utility to import that. It shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, we think that's probably the case here, but I guess thoughts, questions?
Well, I was thinking that if we invest $6,000 into this, just by finding 150 permits at $40 a piece, it's going to pay for itself.
And I don't believe that you pay the annual fee the first year. I mean, most of the time your software installation covers your first year. I think, I'm not positive on this, but.
I think if you're willing to go along with it, if we could cap this out at what's on here, and then we determine whether we can get the imports or whatever it is. Maybe it's already set up in this process. We have not done an online demo of it yet. obviously, we could do that with them. We just haven't had the staff timing to do that right now because
Right.
we are so extremely busy with other permits going on right now. As we get a little time, they'd like to take a stab at doing it online, and we'd have to set that up in later in the day or in the evening or something with somebody to do a demo. Bill, you guys see
So
your finger
this MyGov is from Oklahoma?
You know what, I don't,
I mean, that's an
That's where it
address.
says here.
okay,
So this isn't like the guy that just left. Something, how do we work with this? I mean, is it all over the internet, I suppose?
it's all over the internet base. I don't want to tell you that it's not without glitches here and there. Like any software, you will have a glitch, and you need to get in touch with them probably every 3 weeks maybe and say, hey, we're locking up here, there's something wrong, and they do respond. They do give pretty fair customer service, I can tell you that, but there will be a time here and there where you'll have an issue.
I think we're accustomed to lockups and issues all the time. It seems like all the software we have has a problem. Mike, question?
I was just wondering on this type of a deal, we've never, I do fire inspections for Grand Rapids, is there a way that we could be in contact, easier to know if there's a change of venue or when something new is being built, so we can come in and see if they've got the correct fire protection stuff in there?
Probably is.
Or if we see somebody, we go in and say, boy, this looks all new. If there's a way that we could work together more to say,
Yeah.
hey, can you check this out? A lot of businesses come in, we're gonna do this, and then pretty soon they're putting up walls and they're doing this. We come in and say, where's this or where's that, and I mean, that would.
I think there's a lot of stuff we could do, you bet.
You can open it up and you can choose to view projects by type of new construction or commercial, or if it's an addition or remodel, or if it's whatever, a roof. You can go in there and look on a daily basis, if you will, and it's, you can sort it by date, or there's
And
a lot
for
of.
us, it's only the commercial stuff that we're inspecting, but I mean, it'd be a nice way to.
You could, I get what you're saying, Mike, because you'd be able to go in and look. If you see something that's in progress, you'd be able to look to see if a permit was taken out for it. And, Bill?
Okay, so we're looking at on-site training is $1,995.
Online, not on-site.
No, he's looking
On-site
down
training.
below.
On-site training?
Yeah.
I don't think they would probably
I don't
need
believe that
on-site
that's
training.
necessary.
No.
And add hours and then change $115
No.
for it.
So what we're looking at is the 2 lines up above.
I think I can get people up to speed enough. Once it's installed and up and running, it's not that bad.
Do you have this in Cloud Brothers and all the other places you do?
No, this is the only one,
Yeah, in Wisconsin Rapids?
yes.
Why isn't it good up that way?
Maybe not big enough, because it is a little pricey, and others just haven't chosen to pony up for it. I'm not sure.
All right, thoughts? More questions? Table?
I'd like to see a demonstration. I don't know.
I would certainly like to have a demo before we would purchase it, but to me, to look at the software to see if it functioned right is probably not, but for the office staff that would be using it,
Utilize it.
you could make the decision if they see it's right, and I think if we have them do a demo of it, and if it meets their approval.
I think that'd be the thing to do, is ask them what they think.
Yeah.
Saw a demo, I know initially they thought it was good, but they probably haven't worked with it enough to really make that
I
determination.
mean, we thought what Dale had was good too. You know what I mean? But obviously it wasn't.
Dale,
Dale.
You mean,
I mean,
Larry?
Larry.
Oh, okay.
You're good,
No.
aren't you?
It'd be Carl.
We went the very, very cheap way and had an access program designed for Larry, which never really worked.
lots of lockups.
Which is what the only other system that we have right now. And the girls said they can't even figure out how to enter anything.
I have not been able to use it.
So,
So I
We
do
need to
have
do
one more
something. Go
question too. So when it comes to this, let's say I could come up to you and say, how many electrical inspections did you do this past year? You would be able to gather
all
that
right
info.
there. I
Okay.
should have brought in my smartphone.
yeah.
Stick around.
Smarter than you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do that.
Yeah, I think we should move forward with it, but it's a good idea to have the office staff see it.
See a demo.
And not just Jewel and Peggy, Chris and Judy as well, to be involved in that, not knowing who all might have their hands in this and do it sooner rather than later because
Right, it's
we
already
need to keep
April.
moving.
There's different things you can do with it too. You can make it visible to people, but not accessible to people to make changes.
Sure.
All that stuff is there. And I don't want to make it sound like I know how to do all this stuff. My supervisor has had more training in it, and he's the one that makes the changes and finds me out of stuff I wish I could get in and do it. But not able to, so.
All right, a motion coming forward?
Well, how would a motion be set?
I would suggest that a motion would be to authorize the purchase upon satisfactory review of the staff,
Not to exceed.
not to
Not
exceed
to exceed.
$6,000.
That sounds like a good motion.
All right, did I make it?
Oh, I made it.
You did, Patty made it,
I
good.
agreed with you.
Okay, second,
I'll second.
Kathy, any further discussion? We'll run that through pretty quick. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. All right, thanks, Dale, I appreciate you stopping, and I thank you again for stopping and visiting with the Plan Commission last night.
You're welcome. Probably the least I can do. So.
Very good, all right, see you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we are on item 8. Here we go for aqua skiers getting to be, the lake is now thawed out. They are here to temporary Class B liquor license for the state water ski show tournament, July 16th through the 19th.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Motion Bill,
Second?
second by Kathy. And I assume from seeing on here, everything is the same where you're gonna fence it in again as usual, staffing the entrances with certified people to check for licenses, et cetera, right?
Yep, the same, and some of our bartenders will actually be people from government. Like Mike Weiberg will be in charge of the beer tent there.
Okay.
So, there's others involved that are in government, they know better, so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, and I just want to ask, or just for clarification, or to affirm that, so your bartenders and such will have the appropriate operator licenses from the town as well?
Most definitely, yeah, because there's no crossover. What they're doing, you'll see multiple bartenders out there, and our thing in aqua skiers is always trying to find the numbers of people to do that work there. And so what we've done is we've traded off. Your bar in the city, let's say, or your bar in Grand Rapids or Portage County, you can take and put a banner up there if you'll bartend for us for about 4 hours. But that still requires us to have our licensed bartender on site.
Right.
And we want them to have licenses as well. So, but we always have ours on site.
All right, sounds good.
One more question.
Yes, you can, Bill.
How about the recycling efforts and garbage? You do a little more containers than we've had before?
That's what they're working on for this year. It's a big committee with a number of people on it. I do know that they were going to try to do additional containers out there, especially in the beer tent, because there was so much just laying around, hanging on fences. It's a lot for us to pick up later, so more containers will help that, yeah.
And I did notice that a lot of cups were thrown in the lake, and I don't really think that's acceptable.
In the lake?
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't aware of anything being thrown in the lake about that. I don't know unless that happened later. Don't know.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I have an aye, any opposed? All right, you're good to go. Discuss fire department continuation of automatic mutual aid with the Village of Burin. As of recently, the Village of Burin has a new fire chief who claims he has 15 very active firemen and some additional support staff helping him, so I guess, in my mind, we could go back to our standard mutual aid program again.
I'll make a motion, we so do that.
Okay, motion Bill,
I'll second.
second to Kathy. Discussion, and what it is, we'll still respond to them if they need us, and they will respond to us if we're requested, but they would have to request us to come.
Okay.
That's our standard mutual aid program. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? None, thank you. All right, moving to some training items. Officer Arndt attending instructor training 19th through the 20th in Madison. This is for OWDI or OMD, operating motor vehicle while intoxicated. There you go, I got
It
it.
relates to that, yes.
There you go.
To become an instructor, to be able to certify and recertify officers in the standard field sobriety testing.
Cost of $330.80 and covered under your budget, correct?
Yes.
Questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, so train officers in Wood County or just our officers, is that what it is?
Our officers, and we also reciprocate with if other agencies. I mean, we use Wood County and Wisconsin Rapids instructors if we don't have one on staff. This way it would give us somebody on staff, and then if they needed an instructor to do some training, obviously we would reciprocate and let them use our instructors.
Make a motion to approve the request.
Motion Bill, second.
I will,
Patty?
second.
Authorized training, $330.80. Justice Art to go to Madison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. Requests for garbage and recycling charge refund. Alfred Brettel, we're rental property that the power has been disconnected. Request through Chris, I believe, huh?
Yeah, he had just called and said that he no longer rents out the house that is north of his commercial property on 8th Street. And he said the power has been disconnected. He's just using it for storage and hopes to eventually just take the building down. But at this point, it's just being used for storage and there's no power. Can he please be refunded for garbage and recycling?
Questions?
Yeah, I hope this don't set a precedent, because for the fact is that people that are snowbirds say, well, I'm gone most of the winter and why do I have to pay for this, so.
I have the same feeling. It's
The issue, I guess, and you can look at it two different ways. One that still is a house there and could generate some garbage, but it is attached to a commercial property which has their own commercial pickup. So obviously there's another if. And then the fact that the power is there is not livable. Snowbirds don't disconnect the power when they go south. At least they're going to keep their furnaces up and keep them going. So
But people that rent homes clean them without electricity and stuff like that. I just see a lot of people that's not renting homes. There's a lot of garbage out there. And the last time the renter left, he left a pile of it, so.
I think that's pretty common, Bill. At least I've seen that too much in our town, quite frankly. And, it's up to you, folks.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I'm afraid too that what precedent you might set for other individuals who would say, I have a rental property, I want to turn off the power to it, and now it's not, now it's just being used for storage. And I'm not necessarily saying maybe we should deny or approve this at this point, but maybe we should hang on to this and see what others might come and make a decision 3-4 months from now.
I mean, if the building is down, obviously it's no longer there. Judy?
I believe he had the power disconnected totally.
He said he did, and that's just what he told me, so.
And that'd be something that we could always check on. I mean, if the power is totally disconnected compared to just shut off.
Right, correct.
Is a difference.
Can we review this at the end of the year? Because, I mean, it's already been paid for. If he gets a credit at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, go a whole year and see what happens.
I know in other municipalities, you know, a house is condemned for filth or whatever, and the electric company shuts it off, but somebody still has to pay that, you know, for the...
Well, it is a taxable property, as you can see the tax paper below it, so. I'll make a motion to deny.
I'll second that.
Motion Arnie, second Kathy, for discussion.
Patty.
Patty, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's good. The lady to my left or the lady to my right, would that be safer for me? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have an aye, any opposed? All right, motion carries to deny. All right, here we are on number 12, which is approval changes to the dog exemption permit policy to move the yearly to October, and yearly reviews from to October. That's the only changes that were made in there, and they were on
Page 2.
page 2. First sentence, so that's the request of what we got from Plan Commission.
Yeah, and the second part.
The second part of the meeting of the Plan Commission held after Police Department has completed its review of the act permits prior to November 30th, and this is to also help with those dogs that have been replaced and the licensing, so they're not licensed. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Second.
changes as presented.
Motion Patty, second Bill. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Recommendations from chairman for appointments to Plan Commission, Police and Fire Commission, and Sanitary. You have my notes to you. The Sanitary is a 6-year term for Gil Laitman as a chairman. Planning Commission, 3-year term, Brian Pisick, Jason Gruberger, and Jeff Brubaker. Plan Commission, 1-year appointments, Justin Connor as chairman and Tom Arnold as vice chairman. Any discussions?
There are no police and fire commission appointments.
Oh, and one police and fire, and that was, I forgot to get that on there, and that was...
It's on here.
It is?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's not.
not on my paper.
Right.
Bob Donahue Jr. has agreed to go on for another term.
I'll make a motion to approve the chairman's appointments.
I'll second.
Kathy can.
Kathy, Bill and Kathy, all,
Sure.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, thank you. Approval of recycling solid waste holding choose to reuse events in May and September.
It's May 16th and September 17th.
What about, thinking about this, and you know, you've had some pretty low staffing issues last couple of years, Bill, right? You've been struggling with it. I know you have talked about it at some of your meetings. Have you got any
I think we have-
extra support this year, you think?
Yes, I have some people coming forward. This is approved.
Okay.
September 19th.
I'd like to ask for approval of the May 16th one first.
Okay.
My thought process is it sometimes gets pretty hectic, and we want to be sure that we got enough staff to do it so that nobody gets injured and we don't have any events. And we've had people just jumping all over vehicles. Bill has done a lot with some of the suggestions that I gave to him about making some traffic lane where they come in, but I would suggest to you, Bill, that you probably have everybody that's a volunteer in a vest. And if we need to get some more of those cheap vests for them to wear, that way there's clear identity to who's a worker and who's a taker. And that way you can, if you get some takers that are jumping into your lines of your unloading, that you can shoo them out of the way, because we certainly don't want to have any accidents and anybody backing up or taking off with people running around there. So I'd move to approve the May 16th and the September 17th or 19th, was that, Bill?
19th.
Would be reviewed after the May event. It's my motion.
I'll second that.
Motion Arnie, second Kathy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? All right, let's hope it's a good one. Okay, we are on item 15, approval of resolution 2015-14, adopting new ordinance 69, requiring a pit permit for public events on town roads. We've drafted this up simply because of the amount of walks, runs, car cruises that we get through the town. And there's been times that the town has not been notified that an event is going on until the following morning, all of a sudden we see people running, we see roads all marked up with permanent paint marking and everything else, and we want every event that's in the town to be a safe event. Unfortunately, a YMCA event that was held in our town, but part of the event was in Saratoga. There was an accident there in the town of Saratoga because of it. We want to prevent that, and if we use our form and everything is done, we should have satisfactory notification. We have an auxiliary that's more than willing to help a lot of these events out, and they're all for good charity events, and we want to see them all go and grow. We just want to have a little more control over what's actually being done to be sure everything is taking place. They have the right things in place, such as the EMS services and et cetera, et cetera. Kathy, was there a couple corrections to
Yes.
that you're looking at that we wanted to fix? That
Section 69.6, the application for permit section. We had discussed at the legislative committee that we did not need to include the what will be on the application.
So items 1 through 7, you're saying we...
Right.
Okay.
So only that paragraph is necessary.
Okay.
And the paragraph in itself defines that a person is required to fill out the application, which is approved by the town board,
Right.
and then therefore we can make changes as needed.
Anybody else see anything?
That was the only change I saw.
I have questions on the permit.
Okay.
That's the next
That'll be the next item, so we'll approve the resolution first, if that's what your wishes are. And then we'll go to the...
I make a motion to approve the resolution as amended.
Okay. Motion, Bill, second. Arnie. I got you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I have an aye, any opposed? No opposed. All right, permit item, the next item is approval of the permit form for the public events on town highways. And your question, Bill, is where?
Well, first of all, one of them is the organization nonprofit? I don't know what difference it makes if it is or isn't, but the fact is, so how do they prove they're nonprofit? Do they show their 501c3?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was just something
I'm not criticizing.
Yeah, I know,
I just
I know.
thought, if I'm coming in here because, and we're not a nonprofit, but the Clean Green Action Committee, you know, we want to do something, and we have over that many people. We're not, but I don't know how I could.
Yeah,
You don't make any money, but you're not for profit, is what you're saying.
You got that right.
Take it out.
I don't see why we need it if we're not making some process.
There's no
of the
decision that we're
application.
making.
No decision as a result of saying
We're not
yes or no.
reducing the cost or the fee because they're nonprofit or anything, so, okay? Anything else?
And I said, we'll tweak this into
Yeah,
a
that's
little
right,
nicer form. It was kind of a quick get it on down so we can look at it.
No, you did a nice job.
All right,
But it just when it goes in there, you know, it would be nice to have somebody's, not only email, but somebody's cell phone number. I know you have phone number there, but
well, we got down on the bottom here, contact numbers, day of the event, so it pretty much have to be,
So,
yeah. Okay, any further discussion? Motion to accept it as changed.
so moved.
Bill, second.
Patty?
Patty, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor again, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Turn the
Okay.
page. Go
Just
ahead.
one thing back on the ordinance itself. I would like to get copies of it with a letter from the town mailed out to any organizations that have held events in the past. So I'm looking at you guys to get me names and contact numbers or anything that you know of of, somebody so that I can get this out so they're aware of it.
That it needs to be.
Some of these, we have a 60-day timeline to, and obviously putting in place now, we may have to waive that on some of them this year.
Yeah.
Because I think the Southwood County Humane Society's coming up pretty
They've
soon.
got one May 9th, which is prior to our next meeting, actually,
Yeah.
so.
So we may have to waive those to get those through, and then.
That makes sense.
But Bill, if you can confirm for us too that they are using some town roads besides on the
they
trail
do.
when you're out there?
Because you start out in the town of Grand Rapids and then you head toward the river. And then you're in the village of Plover, so there is just that short distance that you do that K5 walk, 5K walk.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to look at that. All right. Did we vote?
Yep.
All right. Item 18, 17, I just checked it. Sorry. Approval resolution 2015-15, amending ordinance 39, schedule of fees and forfeitures to add the information on ordinance 69, requiring a permit for public events on town highways. Something we have to do every time we put a fee into place, and I believe the fee for this bid is $15, is that correct?
15, yeah.
So it's not a moneymaker for the town, just some information.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2015-15 to amend the fees and forfeitures as presented.
Motion Kathy,
Second.
second Patty. Any further discussions? And the fines for this are range from $10 to $100? Is that what it was?
Thousands.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm an aye. Any opposed? None opposed. All right, go to item 18, discuss the 2015 road projects. We've had this on the agenda a couple of months back, and I did email everybody and ask you to take a look at the roads. These are the proposed roads: Auburn Avenue, 50th Street, 56th Street, Cherrywood Court, Plantation Court, Granwood Drive, Rosemary Circle, Abbey Lane, and Blueberry Lane. And you previously approved Auburn, not Auburn, but Cherrywood and Plantation. So we can get started on those discussions. Bill?
I just, of course, I've said it before, I think this is a duty of the town board to go out and look at the roads and discuss what roads they think. They learn how roads are built, other supervisors. This is the only town I know of that does not do road rides in a township. And first of all, I think that Lake Avenue should be done. And it's not even in here. And I think that's something, if we'd have rode down Lake Avenue as a board, we probably would have decided, and we would have heard from the road crew that say, well, no, this other road is a little worse, let's look at that one. We don't have that discussion. So I'm not interested in approving these or nothing, because it wasn't a board decision, and I don't want to go out in the public and hear, what did you guys do that road for? Well, I don't know why we did that road. We didn't go on a road ride as a town board.
Okay, but you do recall that I did send 2 emails to each one of you folks asking you to contact me or Rick to go on a road ride to go around the town and look at the roads, correct? Okay. That being said, Lake Avenue is a project that we're looking at for next year. It is in excess of a $200,000 project. We only have $237,000 in the budget for this year. We could barely, if we did it, that would be absolutely it. What I'm looking for is for the Lake Avenue project is to be put on to the Wood County Roads Project. The Towns Association, Wood County Towns Association through the state has some TRIP money. I'm looking for a grant to do that, which would be next year's project. We have a very likely possibility that would be approved as in bad condition it is. It is going to be repatched, to do a temporary repatch on it so that we get those potholes picked up again, and I get looks from the audience, and I understand it. It's a bad road, but we're going to do a temporary patch to it. We don't have the $200,000+ to do it this year, long and short of it. So that's why it isn't on there, and if you don't want to approve these roads,
Because you two
make a motion.
decided that that's why it's not on there. What's the matter with the whole board making that decision? Instead of coming here looking at, well, Bill Clendenny's gonna vote no against something.
No, the discussion was at the last time to talk to you about the roads, and you had plenty of opportunity to say, hey, I think we need to discuss that road. Did either one of you or anybody come to me and say, we need to do that? What I've said to you is it's expensive, we don't have the money for it, so let's try to get some grant money for it, which would be through state aid to help us rebuild that road next year. We could put $5,000 or $6,000 in a patch onto it to get it to go through, because it pops away the surface. The only way to truly fix that road is to mill off about 1 3/4 or 2.5 inches, I forget what it was, they'd mill it off, not grind it off, and then we'd overlay the whole thing again, and that's what the cost is gonna be. We can't do it this year in this budget, so do you wanna do all these roads, or do you wanna not do any roads at all? That's the long and short of it.
And I'm not quite sure I see, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure I understand entirely your concern, Bill, with regards to us driving in the same vehicle, which almost wouldn't work anyway if we don't have a bigger van or something to put us all in, but for us to all drive together, how is that any different than for, if you have a greater passion about being more invested in that decision-making, then did you call Rick and go with him? I mean,
No, I
could you
did not
have?
call Rick. And I don't even know why we're having this discussion about this now. We didn't go for a road ride last year, correct?
And
The year before.
did
Did it work out?
Did it work out well? Did our roads get worked on and prioritized appropriately?
No, I don't think they did, because I think it's a board, let's get off the subject and on here. I haven't said
Well,
it.
make a motion to table it, then we'll wait till next month.
No, I'm not making no motions on this. I'm not even voting on it.
That's responsible of you as a town board supervisor.
Yes,
I hope your constituents remember that.
yes.
Hey,
So-
order in here, please. Okay, this is a board meeting, I expect it to be orderly. All right, is there any motions?
I have no concerns about the proposed roadwork as presented. I did drive by, but I didn't look real closely, but I'm also not a public works expert, and I rely on that information. That's what committee structures are about, and I don't have a concern. I would if the board had a conversation here and said, hey, I think something else needs to be looked at, and therefore then we would table it and we would go look at an additional road. But I don't think it's to me, I don't need to ride with my full board to look at these any different than I need to ride with my full board on any agenda item if I need to go and make sure that my decision that I am making that's representing my constituents is the right decision for this town. I don't ask you guys to go for a ride with me to go see if an oversized garage should be built or, things like that.
So some of these roads that you have chosen, or Rick, is based on the grading system. I'm just trying to understand
Absolutely.
this because I haven't really had that much experience with this. I'm asking my questions just to learn.
Absolutely,
Okay,
Patty, and it
okay.
is done.
So it's based on a grading system. So some of these roads are probably based as a 0 per se. I'm just, because they're gravel.
If the road would be gravel, it would be 0, exactly correct. 10 is a perfect road, which lasts for the first 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then deteriorate from there. Some of these roads, you can put maintenance in ahead of them. See, a road like that could be a 5, as opposed to a road that's a 3. You might do a 5 with just an overlay, and you'd save that road versus knowing that it's already a 3. You're not going to save it with an overlay. You're going to have to grind it up and do a rebuild of it. So sometimes you will do a 5 ahead of a 3 and do the following year, that 3 is now 2 or 1, and it's got to get done. So that's kind of how the decisions are made. I mean, we spent a lot of time driving these roads.
So these roads, there weren't anyone that actually approached you to say that there was issues with that?
50th Street was the issue, and that was a gravel road.
Blueberry.
And Blueberry.
Okay.
In Blueberry, we think we can save.
Okay, so 50th Street and Blueberry are requests from residents.
I would say request concerns, that, hey, we should look at them.
Okay.
Three other ones are gravel roads, or Auburn, 50th, 56th are gravel roads that we're going to bring up to town standards. The Cherrywood Court Plantation are, so what's really not already would be Brandwood, Rosemary, Abbey, and Blueberry.
Brandwood, Rosemary, and Abbey would be.
It's all in one subdivision.
Okay.
It's all in one subdivision, and that is, if you drove it, you'd find that it was very potted, very sunk in all over the road. I mean, it's pretty bad shape. We can grind that and fix it.
And is that a very, excuse me?
Yeah, it's one of our older subdivisions.
That was my next question, because I know
It's right off of 20th Street.
That subdivision is
It's
like
very
built
old.
from the 1960s.
Yeah, this is when towns first started to grow.
Okay.
That subdivision over there was one of the first ones.
Mr. Chairman, do you, the road projects as is being proposed, would that fit within the budget of what we have for 2015?
Yeah, we believe it's actually under budget, and it's somewhat difficult to totally say that everything's going to come out to the numbers that we're looking at, but we believe these are under budget by as much as $50,000, which means we could do some more road work in the fall if we find that these do indeed come in under budget.
So are you proposing that you'd go get road number 1 done, road number 2, 3, and work down the line?
Well, we know
to that
these will fit
7?
within the budget already.
Okay.
These
I
will,
see.
and with the balance, we believe to be about 50,000 left.
And who will be doing the work?
The price that we have is county, which we get the county rate, which is predominantly less than other outside contractors. Any other questions?
I appreciate Patty's questions. It actually helped me understand some of it as well.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we do the proposed road work for 2015 as presented.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second it for discussion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? One with no vote. 3 carries. Thank you. Discuss bidding out to purchase of gravel for the road project and stockpile. I think we feel we're in the neighborhood of rightly close to 2,500 tons, Rick, gravel. You know, we figured. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty close. 2,500 tons was the estimate, so we'd want to put this out for bid for fractured rock 3/4 and inch and inch quarter, 3/4, and then typically what they'll do is they'll give us one price, and then we can choose whatever we need depending on whether it's going to go to a stockpile or a road. So we just want the approval to go ahead and bid out for 2,500 tons.
It's just to
Just a
bid
bid
for it.
request.
I'll make a motion to allow the bidding of the gravel for road products and stockpile, road projects and stockpile.
Motion Kathy, second
Patty?
Eddie. Any further discussion? Bill?
So when you have to bid this out, you couldn't just take the person you had last year. Isn't there a certain amount that, I mean, if you were satisfied with the people you got the gravel from and stockpiled them,
Yeah.
would you just bid it out just, you have to, it's what I.
No, we don't really have to, Bill. No, we don't.
That's all I wanted to.
We just found out
It's not
that
an individual project
Yeah.
of 25,000.
Right.
yeah, we don't have to bid it, but it just worked out best with us. In the past, it was we bid it out and let them. Some people sometimes have a pit that's close that they can haul to us, and sometimes they may have another pit, but they're already going there in that area for something else, and they do these on backhauls then, so they put a lower price in. So we found that over the years.
Diesel fuel's gone down considerable from last year.
And this don't mean that you have to take the lowest
No,
bid
no.
because of quality or.
Right, we know there's some pits that are not as good quality. We wouldn't want to know where it's coming from, yeah. All right, any for this?
Oh, excuse me, I have one. Is 2,500 tons sufficient? Are we thinking about maybe even, doing the edging on some of the roads?
That's including, that's,
And that's going to take care of that?
Mhm.
Okay.
we think with that, we'd probably have 300 or 400 tons that they would put in our stockpile, which would get our stockpile back up. But I mean, more or less, we'll have to find out, but we think we're pretty close.
Yeah, is that how much we had last year? Do you remember? Last year, do you remember?
I think we did. We had a little less gravel used last year, so we probably only did 2,000. But
And I think we listed as approximately.
yeah,
And I mean, we don't ever say, well,
right.
we're at 24.99, so we don't want any more.
Right.
okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Did we get a motion in a second? We did,
You
right?
had a motion and a second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have an aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Item 20 is discuss the hosting of the Wood County unit of Wisconsin Towns Association June. It's our month to host the monthly meeting. It's twice, I should say not twice, every other year we host it. We do need to provide a speaker. I did talk to Justin Connor, and he said he'd love to come in and do an update on the GIS system
Great.
for everybody. We've got everything we need over at the fire station, the overhead screen, the projector, and the internet Wi-Fi over there, so it'd be a good program to put on. He said he'd love to do that, so that's what I would be proposing for that. I would propose that we do the same thing we did in the past years as far as the beverages and sandwiches, that the town takes care of those costs as we have in the past.
I'll make a motion to approve the June meeting for the Wisconsin Towns Association.
All right. Motion Patty, second Kathy. Any further discussion? At the fire station, by the way.
You're going to have it catered like we did before?
We'll, hard to say, Ed, we'll decide whether we, typically what we've done is we'll either buy the product, make it up, have it ready, or in some cases, we'll have somebody bring sandwiches in, like Subway or whatever. And in other cases, the desserts, we always ask the board members to make a dessert, et cetera.
We can do some checking around, or
We'll check prices.
see what we can come up with it and have it for you for May meeting.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Did we, a motion,
Approve the
Yep.
meeting, yeah?
a motion to approve, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Have an aye, any opposed? Okay, item 21, discuss request for proposal of town attorney. If you read the notes on that, our attorney did get elected a judge down in Adams County. He'll be shutting down his service to us by the end of June. He has intentions, and he has been in discussion with a couple different agencies to come over and take his practice for this. So what we'd like to do is just to prove it that we are ready to put out an RFP for the services, and we do it sometimes toward the end of May, which would, of course, give us plenty of time to get this back and see who's going to be our next attorney for our court system and our local ordinances, et cetera, et cetera.
So we'll have this proposal. This is the proposal that you want to
This
send
is
out, or?
what we used last time.
Okay.
And no, I did not go through them and
Okay.
adjust
All right.
numbers or anything. So
this is
if
just the
you guys
format.
have anything that, definitely you don't want in here or you think should be in here, then we can just update this. And what we did last time is I pretty much went through the phone book and mailed a copy out to all of the attorneys that were listed in the phone book. But Dan, like Arnie said, Dan did say that he's possibly got somebody that may take over his practice, which would be, he said 5 to 6 weeks. So, I mean, I guess in a way I would hate to have these due back before this person that, Dan's practice is a municipal law. So if he's got somebody that, would be doing municipal law compared to an attorney who may have, not gotten into that line. But, I mean, we still got plenty of time if you have these due towards the end of May. And then at the, beginning of June would be time to do interviews
decide.
and have some meetings because Dan will be with us till the end of June, he said.
So long and short of just all I wanted was for you to prove that we seek an attorney
Okay.
through a request for proposal. The terminology language is on here can be corrected or whatever, adjusted to whatever, but just if we can get that approved and then we can work on any of the changes that we need to do. Should be fine.
I'll make a motion to send out the request for proposal for a town attorney.
A second.
Motion Patty, second Kathy, any discussion?
Do I need to set a time frame on my motion?
We'll just follow what the comments was that went towards the end of May.
Okay.
We'll send it out.
All right.
And we'll
So
just,
was there anything on here that really,
Stuck out for me was that
population.
it says with approximately 7,998.
Yeah.
I have it as 7,691. 22 square miles, I
think we're down to 20?
20 now. And then on the last page, 6 copies of the attorney's firm and the date. It says the address below
Sure.
by.
Way up. Okay, anything else? Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed, thank you. March disbursement vouchers, any discussion items on there?
I have one question. I could not, and sorry I didn't call and ask my question prior to the
Sorry, go
meeting,
ahead.
but what did we utilize, or is the roof repair in here? I did not see it. I looked a couple times, I couldn't see it.
No,
Where we had
it's
the-
under warranty.
Okay, it was under warranty.
Yes, I found the warranty.
Oh, good, okay. Great news.
Okay, then nothing else on vouchers, we'll go to item 23, which is operator license application, Chad Kalhanek, Bud's Corner Mart, Nathan Matterwitz, and Dawn McKenzie at the store.
I make a motion to approve those people.
1-year licenses. Motion Bill, second
A second.
Kathy. It was a weak one, Kathy.
Yeah, I lost my voice there.
Going to be the end of the meeting, right? All right, motion approved and seconded for the 3 1-year licenses. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Monthly reports from Public Works. All equipment is up and running. We did have a reasonable snow situation this year, not as much snow. Town did plow, I think, totally 8 times, so we maybe have helped our budget a little bit. We're cleaning up equipment and getting it ready for storage. We did get some of the racking in that was approved, and we're starting to build some racking in the shop so we can get some of that stuff off the floor. Other than that, road signs are being updated, and street signs, we're finding some stop signs that are not meeting the reflectivity that we have to replace. And we do have to do reflectivity tests every year on all of our signs now, part of the new federal regulation. So there's no standard that we have to meet. They just need to have to be based upon somebody's idea that it reflects good enough, I guess, is the
They have to
one.
be over 65 years old.
Yeah. All right, any questions on Public Works? Plan Commission, Patty?
Yes, we met last night, and our members got to meet Dale Bates, so that was nice. He was here this evening. We approved two new dog exemption permits. And then also we had a review, a 90-day review of a dog exemption permit. And that, they seem to have made a lot of progress. The complaints went down extremely a lot over just the 90-day period. So we approved them to continue on with their dog exemption report. We had on the agenda a hot dog stand, but they did not show, so that's tabled until they would come up with.
Okay. So that person did pay the fee for the land use permit, I hope?
No, that was one of the things that,
Okay.
that held that up.
Okay, very good.
And then also another thing that was mentioned is that with the dog exemption, we send out notifications 500 feet radius to the applicants' surrounding neighbors. And it was noted that some of the residents did not receive the notification of it. So we're doing a test run to see what's happening with the US mail.
I think this morning we got two of them returned to us, that the addresses were not deliverable. So I assume they all should have gotten them if we'd got two back today, right?
Well, and we spoke to our postman today, or I should say Peggy did, and he said as long as they're sent out as a first-class mail, which all of our mail is, he said if for some reason they were not delivered, they would have been returned to us. So he's saying that that first-class letter went to those people.
Now, whether they opened it, another question, I guess.
You know, they're addressed as current resident, but, so, yeah.
So
If
Peggy
if we would send them as a third-class mail, then we wouldn't know it, they wouldn't return them to us, they'd just ditch them. But all of our stuff is sent out first class.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on the Plan Commission? Public Safety,
No meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Wisconsin Towns Association, anybody go to the last one?
Yeah, they had, it was at the town of Cary. We had three legislators there. Nancy Merrimer was there, Representative Culp was there, and also Senator from, it's in Clark County, I can't think of his name right now, but he was also there. But the presentation was on insurance because the state's not, that was the biggest, and somebody from rural insurance was there, made about an hour presentation on it. So in the next meeting, and of course it's
17th.
Yeah, this Friday at Waldorf.
Any questions? Airport Commission, Bill?
Airport Commission, now the main thing we're working on right now is getting trees in, trees that are obstructing the runway on private property, and Arnie furnished me with a 1949, I believe it was, a 1949 ordinance in which people said that, you know, they're responsible for trees growing up to a height, so that might save us some money, you know, with the Airport Commission and going there and telling people they have to cut those trees down or top them off, and that's the biggest thing. And we had a meeting on that in which we're going to be doing certain things. We're going to, first of all, have a public meeting on it, like they do at the library for roads and things like that when the state DOT does it. And we're going to also have with us the Marshfield Airport, because all the airports in the area have to comply with that. So that's the biggest thing. The other thing we're working on is RFP draft for our FBO officer. We extended his 6 months. We're putting out an RFP for that, request for proposal. Another thing is what we want to do is we're drafting a letter to send to Bjorn to see if they would join our airport organization. They were at one time, as a matter of fact, they were signatures on that 1949 ordinance that was there. And I brought this up about, we're the only ones that have an alternate for the airport commission. And sometimes we don't have, we've always had at least a quorum, but none of the other entities are interested in supplying an alternate. And I just thought if somebody didn't show up, they could give me a call or give the alternate a call and see if they can come to it. But I guess they're not interested in it. So they can look at the bylaws and see if the bylaws say that that has to happen.
I don't think there ever was anything in the bylaws. We just chose to do that, Bill, because it made sense for us to try to be sure that we had our representation for us that we so deserve. One thing I mentioned to you, we found in that one document that we needed to have a Board of Appeals member for height. Did that discussion happen?
Yes, we had that discussion. Matter of fact, they're going to look that over with our, with their attorney and the city.
Okay.
And that's another thing that came up. We do not have an attorney now anymore for him because he retired. And yes, we're going to look at that, and probably it's going to have to be picked by the chairperson of each municipality.
Yeah, and I think there was a rotating term of what they wanted, but since I've been on the board since 1995, we've never had a member on that Board of Appeals.
Right, yeah.
So that.
They didn't know anything about it until I showed
Till I found it, didn't I? Yeah. All right, any questions on the airport? I understand, there's some new hangars going up, correct? Or in the process of going up?
Yes, there it has. Nobody has come here for a permit yet, have they? No.
I can't ask Dale, he's not here.
No, nobody has come here for a permit, so.
Okay. Public buildings?
We haven't met.
Okay. Economic development, Dan's not here, so we can zip by that one. Recycling, solid waste, Bill, anything other than your
No, we
juice?
finished up our annual report. It's a little different this year because some people like graphs and things like that, so we got it in a graph.
All right. Questions for him? Legislative? And personnel, nothing?
Meetings.
Okay. Reports from individual town board members, Bill?
No, I don't have any.
Patty?
I was wondering, Chris, would you be interested in maybe doing some kind of a treasury report along with our other reports?
She does.
I don't know if that's, just to be able to discuss any.
You talking about for the annual meeting?
Well, not for the annual meeting, but just a little update. I don't even know, what we could even have.
Just tell you how bad the interest rates are, I guess.
I do this each month. Other than, I don't know, if you want to come up with some things for me to talk about, I'd be happy to.
Or even just to be able to discuss, that handout that you have.
The one I just showed you?
Yeah, the only reason why I guess I ask is because, like at the League of Women Voters, there was some questions in regards to.
And I'll be discussing that at the annual
Repo
meeting,
accounts.
actually.
Yes, yeah.
I'm gonna explain that
So-
at the annual meeting, but,
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
okay,
Kathy, got anything?
nothing?
I have nothing else. Item 26 is the public input section where people can discuss anything that we talked about this evening. 2 minutes again each input. Limited to a total of 60 minutes. Anybody else wish to bring anything up this evening? Mike?
I'd like to congratulate the winners of the election. And I'd like to say, now you guys are you're public officials, you're here to do a job for us. I just found it kind of offensive today, like when Bill wouldn't vote on something, then what's the sense in having an official that doesn't vote on something? Right, wrong, or indifferent. You're public servants, you're here to serve us. I look at being an officer on the fire department as serving my younger people. I'm there to serve them. They're not there to look at, I'm their boss. I'm there to protect these guys, serve them, direct them. And that's what I'm hoping that the town board
Okay.
does for us.
Anybody else? Yes, sir?
I don't know where Patty was heading with that treasurer's report, but I'm gonna say it would work good under item number 24 there.
Yeah.
If that's what you were thinking.
That's kind of,
And I mentioned at the first opportunity for public input there that Krug is going to be in the neighborhood. Arnie said you were going to be at the meeting. Now, I don't know if you're going there as official member of...
well, I've attended several of them, and I always address them as myself, speaking personally for myself. Now, I may have some of the same ideas that the town board does, but I do not indicate that I'm representing the town board. I've not been given any directive to push this item or not push this item. I give them my input and my feedback as a citizen of what I think needs to be happening with the state budget.
And I think I heard Bill in the past that he attended some legislative, go see your legislator thing.
Right.
But I'm wondering if it would be to our advantage to have some process to that. Have a legislative contact committee and discuss these issues and foster them and nurture them and make those contacts.
We have somewhat of that being done by the Wisconsin Towns Association.
Yeah.
They'll give us a list of items that they are promoting, and, do I indicate those to them? Yeah, but again, it's coming from me. Yeah, so.
We just did one with that resolution for county assessment last meeting.
Yeah, and again, we know there's going to be some big changes in the budget. They know they have to do something with the highways. They know that the gas tax can't stay where it is, or some other form of taxation is likely going to happen. Just how bad it is, who knows?
But I'd like to see the board come to a consensus on some of these things and actually push these issues.
Yeah.
What we think are important to us. The
We could,
Wisconsin Towns Association represents all the towns in Wisconsin, I guess. Here are Grand Rapids. Why don't we fight for Grand Rapids? Why don't we let our representatives know what Grand Rapids want?
Yeah. All right, anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, just one quick thought, if I may. If the treasurer is going to be asked to report, I think it would make more sense under number 5, which would be a monthly report from departments versus a committee, because she's not a committee.
Okay, would make sense. All right, anything for the next agenda specifically?
I had my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it, Shirley.
Yeah, I guess I would like to bring forward, as all of you probably know, that the paper doesn't put in any more government meetings. And I think that's an injustice to the citizens of every municipality. And I have expressed my displeasure with the newspaper, and I would urge that the board have this on the agenda about paying to have the meetings in the newspaper. We just spent thousands of dollars here on software, computers, and everything else. And if at the very least, to put in that there's going to be a meeting. So I would.
One of the things, and I know where you're going, and I've had my concerns on it too. What I do want to be sure that everybody is aware of, if they go to the Town of Grand Rapids website, there is a link that you can sign up for our meeting notices. I believe we've got probably 100 and some residents that have internet access, and not everybody has internet access, I understand. But at least those that have internet access can be notified of our meeting and the appropriate agenda, for the most part, that goes along with that meeting agenda. So that's another way for it. Is it perfect right now? I'm still hoping that the Tribune changes their mind.
I don't expect that.
We have another avenue, and again, that's coming to the area. Wisconsin Rapids City Times is coming back to life, initially as an internet-based news service, but again, that's the word internet. They have a government section, and they're going to be reporting on all that stuff here too. So we're hoping that there's other ways to get it out. As long as everybody wishes that the citizens gets informed of any of our meeting notices.
But I still, there's a lot of people that don't access the internet or even have time to go on all the different municipalities' websites, if they even have them. Sure, we have one, but.
But I mean, if they sign up for the notice, it hits their email. If they have the internet, it gets to their email, so if they choose to ignore it or goes into the trash, whatever. All right, anything other for the next agenda item, anybody else?
Well, I guess I'm sort of interested with what we can do with the Tribune to see what they have to say. So can we put that on the agenda just to see what is the cost that it would be in order to have it published in the Tribune?
We can research it.
Agenda item.
Okay.
There's a bill in the legislature right now all you have to do, if it passes, all you have to do is say, we adopted ordinance 69, which refers to, or whatever ordinance it is, which refers to public events. Please see for more details, please see our website. And, the towns are cheering it, that's a great thing, and counties are cheering it, that's what they have to do. And also in that proposal is towns only have to post it in one location.
On that time.
And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. Something I'd probably vote no on.
We are not in your area, sir. I'm sorry, you're done. All right, the next agenda item is the Grand Rapids Town Board is going to move into closed sessions pursuant to statutes 19.85, print 1, paragraph discussing financial, medical, social, and public histories of a specific person, which, if discussed in public, would likely have substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of the person, to discuss with Sienna Dunlap Wantington the denial of her operating license. Who wishes to make that motion?
I can make that motion.
Patty, second.
I can second.
Roll call vote. Bill?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
Arnie's and I. Kathy?
Aye.
We are in closed session. We thank you very much for attending the meeting this evening.
Thank you.